This is a special kind of, it's kind of a big box, doesn't really fit in my whole camera section here, but there's some tape marks here because it had a special kind of paper that's usually put on top of gift boxes that said who the gift was to and from, but then taken off it kind of just left a little mark there. But before, super pretty little box. Great example of how everything in Japan is overpacked to the craziness. But this is a kind of coffee that is sold here in Japan called drip coffee, where each individual person has their own kind of filtering system that they put into their cup. And I just thought it was clever or funny because they decided to call it origami. But when you open this up, and I've eaten half of it, drank one of the boxes, and one was given to my father-in-law, and there's two left in here now. You can kind of see this is kind of what was inside. There was a total of 4 of these boxes in here. You can kind of see there'd be room for those. There were 2 darks. Let's see, I can't remember what the other dark one was. It was an espresso roast. Yeah. It was their Starbucks, the espresso roast that's right here. Yeah. And it also came with a blonde roast, which we finished drinking already. That was really good. I'm a huge fan of really black, dark, spicy coffee. But, you know, if it's a good coffee, I'm good with it. Then you can see there's also a medium house blend included, the espresso roast, and then the Sumatra, which is a good coffee. So, so these are the little boxes in here. They're not tiny. They're a pretty good size. No. And inside is 5 individual little packs like this. And each one of those then is used to put on your coffee to make your own individual cup, and you can kind of see how things will look here. I'd never seen these before. When I moved here, it was the first time I'd seen them. I don't know how things are around the world today, if this is a normal thing or not. I don't recall it really being a big thing in the States at least, but kind of a unique and fun thing, and it can be a little challenging if it's your first time to ever try to do one of these. It's like, how do these fit onto your cup? But let me kind of move this out of the way and I'll show you guys. I've got my anniversary Starbucks coffee anniversary mug cup here. I'm not a massive Starbucks fan. I just like coffee in general, so I don't really complain too much about where it comes from. But so inside, as with all these things that are from Japan, you know, you get all these things that are all individually wrapped. You open up the box, and inside are 5 of these individually wrapped. So it's really packed for freshness. You're getting a good fresh cup that way because it's all sealed off. And it's real easy to open. You just tear right there at that little part, and it rips open real easily so that you can take out this little guy. And this is like the individual drip system. And the instructions are shown nicely here with pictures, so if you can't read, you can go ahead and follow the pictures. It's not too impossible. But if you're not used to ever having seen these, it can be a little like, what? So, but the first step is to go ahead and open from the opening mouth part here, where those little arrows are. So I just kind of open from there. Now you gotta be careful with these because there's just ground coffee inside. You don't want it to spill everywhere. So you just kind of open it gently, and you find this nice little filter with ground coffee inside, all ready to go. And then you just kind of pinch at it. There's those, you can see that kind of perforated edge there on the side. You should be able to get perforated edges both here. So you kind of push in and get started on those perforated edges there. You're kind of popping things out to become like a rectangle almost, if you will. And then here, these little side parts, this little bit here needs to stick on the outer lip of the cup. And then this part here goes inside the cup, kind of around it. And ideally, because you've got these 2 corner pieces that have, you know, it goes up a little bit here into this little notch, that's where it can rest onto the handle of your coffee cup, if you happen to have a handle. So you just essentially slide this right down, make sure that those little parts get stuck on the other side. Things kind of line up here. It doesn't have to be perfect, of course. And it can be a little hard if you have a smaller kind of cup, but You just essentially get it started, and then you fill it up, and it takes 2, 3, 4 times to get it all done. It can kind of be a little annoying because you have to wait because it drips through the whole process here. It steams up the coffee, the camera there a little bit, but you just pour in the water and kind of let it drip through. Since my cup is fairly deep, holds quite a bit of coffee, I'm going to have to do it a few times to get it all the way through. You want to be careful that you don't obviously fill it up too full, but you just kind of let it sit there. This can be a little annoying if you're trying to quickly make coffee for guests. It's maybe a little faster than brewing a pot on your own. Usually the woman of the house will be off getting coffee ready for everyone, and it's pretty normal for it to take a few minutes because a lot of people use these because they think it tastes the best. But Starbucks is not the only place, of course, that makes these. This kind of coffee, these individual drip coffees, have been part of Japanese life for many, many years. So it just happens that recently, this year, actually was the first year that they had the individual drip coffees available from Starbucks as well. So you kind of just leave that going, and then when you're done, you take care when you lift this off, of course, because there's, like you can see, there's still a little bit of water in there. You want to make sure you give it a second to finish completely dripping out, and then taking it over a sink to kind of dump it out. You could try to squeeze, but then you might cause all of the roast to kind of ooze out over the top. So it's probably best to just dump it. So let me go get this cleaned up here. But that's a way to get a nice individual cup of coffee here. And like I said, it's just a kind of an introduction to this particular Starbucks kind, which is called Origami, which is a personal drip coffee that is available here in Japan, starting from this year. So if you're a big coffee fan and you want something unique and you don't happen to have this in your country when you come out here to visit, this can be a fun kind of thing to take home for a unique Starbucks experience. So